Have you ever felt a profound sense of isolation, not because you lack company, but because you feel misunderstood? It's one of life's great paradoxes, that the more deeply we understand the world around us, the more distant we can sometimes feel from the people within it. For the deep thinkers, the observers, and the eternally curious, loneliness isn't just a lack of social interaction, it's a search for something more. Welcome to Golden Wisdom. Today, we dive into the complex psychology of intelligence and the unique loneliness that often accompanies a brilliant mind. Psychology suggests that a highly active mind processes information differently. It sees connections where others see chaos. It asks why when the world is satisfied with what. This cognitive depth can create a social mismatch, a gap between the frequency you're broadcasting on and the one most of the world is tuned into. But is intelligence really the cause of this isolation? Or are there deeper psychological forces at play? From attachment theory to neurobiology, we are going to uncover the scientific reasons why high intelligence and deep reflection often lead to a quieter, more solitary path. Over the next 10 parts, we will explore the neuroscience of connection, the history of the solitary genius, and practical habits for finding meaning in the silence. We'll discuss emotional intelligence, cognitive empathy, and why your need for depth is actually a sign of your greatest strength. This isn't about claiming that being smart makes you lonely. It's about understanding the factors that make your experience unique, because everyone's mind is a world of its own. So, take a breath, find a quiet space, and join us as we begin this journey into the psychology of the deep thinker. In this first chapter, we look at the invisible wall, the subtle barrier between a complex inner world and the external social reality. Why do we feel most alone when we are most awake? The answer might be simpler and more profound than you think. This is part 1. Let's begin. Make sure you're subscribed to Golden Wisdom for the full 10-part journey. Next up, the psychology of depth. Welcome back. In this second chapter, we descend from the abstract paradox and enter the structured world of the psyche. This is the architecture of thought. To understand the deep thinker, we must first understand where they sit on the spectrum of human connection. Specifically, the line between introversion and extroversion. For many, introversion is often misunderstood as a dislike of people, but psychologically, it's simply a difference in how we process stimulation. A deep thinker's internal world is so rich, so densely populated with ideas and observations, that external social noise can quickly become overwhelming. Their social needs are not absent, they are just specific. They crave depth over breadth. One profound conversation over a dozen superficial ones. This creates a quality gap. When the world offers small talk, the deep thinker feels a hunger for something substantial, a shared resonance that is rare to find. Then there is the matter of empathy. Deep thinkers often possess high levels of cognitive empathy, the ability to understand exactly what someone else is thinking. But this understanding can be a heavy burden. To see the world so clearly is to see its fractures, its hidden pains, and its unspoken contradictions. Which brings us to the quest for meaning. For the reflective mind, a life without a deeper why feels like a hollow vessel. Every action must align with a larger purpose. And purpose is often a solitary pursuit. It requires silence. It requires the courage to walk a path that others might not even see. Yet, within this solitude, a unique resilience is born. A strength that doesn't rely on external validation, but on a deep, unshakable, internal compass. Loneliness, in this context, isn't a failure. It's an indicator, a sign that your mind is searching for a frequency that matches its own complexity. Understanding the architecture of your own thought process is the first step toward transforming that isolation into a profound sense of self-possession. You are not broken for feeling lonely. You are simply navigating a world that hasn't yet caught up to the depth of your vision. This was part 2. In the next chapter, we look at the wired mind, the actual neuroscience of how a deep thinker's brain processes the social world. Stay with us. To understand the mind, we must look at the machine. In this chapter, we explore the wired mind, the actual neuroscience of the deep thinker. A highly intelligent brain isn't just faster, it is wired differently. It processes information through more complex, interconnected neural pathways. Central to this is the default mode network, the part of the brain that activates when we are at rest, reflecting on ourselves and the world. In deep thinkers, this network is exceptionally active. Their brains are naturally tuned to an internal frequency, making the outside world feel secondary. This can lead to sensory overload. What most people experience as a normal social environment, a deep thinker may process as a tidal wave of information. Neuroscience shows that social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. For the sensitive mind, isolation isn't just a feeling, it's a biological response. Then there are mirror neurons, the basis of our empathy. In deep thinkers, these can be hypersensitive, causing them to absorb the emotions of others. This emotional absorption can be exhausting. To protect themselves, the deep thinker often retreats into the safety of their own silence. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of complex planning and personality, is often more developed, leading to a constant state of meta-thinking. Thinking about thinking. This chronic overthinking can elevate cortisol levels, the stress hormone. Loneliness then becomes a way for the nervous system to recalibrate and find peace. But this wiring also confers resilience, the ability to find profound joy in a single idea or deep meaning in a moment of solitary observation. Science tells us that we don't need 1,000 connections. We need the right connections, connections that match our cognitive complexity. Your loneliness isn't a glitch in your biology. It's a side effect of a highly sophisticated instrument trying to find its symphony. When you understand your wiring, you stop fighting yourself and start embracing the quiet strength of your own mind. This was part 3. Join us in the next chapter, The Solitary Path, as we explore the history of the world's greatest minds and the isolation they endured. Stay with us. History is a long gallery of solitary figures. In this chapter, we walk the solitary path to see how the giants of the past navigated their own isolation. For many of the world's greatest minds, loneliness wasn't a burden to be avoided, it was the price of admission for their discoveries. Isaac Newton, perhaps the most influential scientist in history, lived a life of profound seclusion. His greatest insights were born in the silence of his own company. Nikola Tesla, the visionary who electrified the world, felt a deep sense of detachment from society. He famously said that the mind is sharper in seclusion. Even the most powerful man in the world, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, wrote about the inner citadel, the place within where a thinker finds refuge. To see what others cannot see is, by definition, an isolating experience. It is the weight of carrying a future that doesn't yet exist. These figures teach us the difference between loneliness and solitude. Solitude is a choice, a sacred space where the mind can truly breathe. Without this space, many of our greatest works of art, science, and philosophy would never have been born. Isolation is often the soil of innovation, but the cost was often high. Historical records show the personal struggles of these thinkers, the yearning for connection that was rarely matched by their peers. They leave us a legacy, not just of ideas, but of a specific kind of courage. The courage to stand alone in pursuit of the truth. Today, when you feel that same isolation, you are walking in the footsteps of giants. You are part of a long, distinguished lineage of observers. Their stories remind us that your depth is not a defect. It is your contribution, a sign that you are reaching for something beyond the ordinary. The solitary path isn't an easy one, but it is one paved with meaning. It is where the most profound parts of our humanity are forged. So stand tall in your silence. You are in good company. You are part of a history that changed the world from the shadows. This was part 4. In the next chapter, we move from history to the present day with The Quiet Observer, a deep dive into a modern-day case study of intellectual solitude. Stay with us. To understand these concepts in the real world, we must observe. In this chapter, we follow the story of a deep thinker. Let's call him Julian. Julian is in a room full of people, yet he is miles away. He isn't antisocial. He is simply tuned into a different layer of the environment. While others discuss the weather or the news, Julian is noticing the architecture of the conversation, the hidden subtext, and the play of light on the walls. He feels a hunger, not for food, but for depth. He waits for a moment where he can share a real thought, a piece of his complex internal map. But the barrier of small talk is often too high. Julian finds that his frequency is too heavy for the casual air of most social gatherings, and so he retreats. Not out of fear, but for preservation. He returns to the sanctuary of his own thoughts, where the conversation is always interesting. In this silence, Julian isn't lonely. He is in dialogue with history, with science, and with the most honest parts of himself. However, the world sees only the empty chair. They see the silence and mistake it for sadness. They don't see the rich garden growing behind his eyes. Julian's challenge, and perhaps yours, is finding resonance. Finding those few individuals who speak the same complex language of the mind. His story reminds us that being an observer is a vital role. It is the observer who sees the truth that the participants often miss in their haste. If you identify with Julian, know that your silence is your strength. Your depth is your value. You are not missing out. You are seeing more. Julian's day ends not with a sense of loss, but with a sense of completion. He has processed the world, and he has found his place within it. The quiet observer isn't lost. He is just waiting for the right moment to speak and the right people to listen. Are you a quiet observer? The answer might change how you see your own reflection in the mirror tonight. This was part 5. In the next chapter, Shattering the Myth, we confront the common misconceptions about intelligence and loneliness. Stay with us. It's time to confront the myths. In this chapter, we shatter the common misconceptions that surround the lonely mind of the deep thinker. The first myth is that intelligence itself causes loneliness. Science tells a different story. It's not about how smart you are, but how you connect. Another misconception is that deep thinkers are socially awkward by nature. In reality, many are highly skilled socially, but they find casual interaction unfulfilling. Then there is the myth of elitism. That feeling alone means you think you're better than others. This couldn't be further from the truth. For the deep thinker, isolation usually stems from a deep yearning for equal connection, a search for a mind that challenges and expands their own. We must also distinguish between a curse and a choice. Loneliness is often something that happens to us, while solitude is something we create. Don't fall into the trap of thinking introversion is a life sentence of isolation. It is a preference for internal stimulation, not a rejection of humanity. Psychology confirms that even the deepest thinkers have fundamental social needs. The myth that "I don't need anyone" is often a defensive mechanism, not a reality. There's also a myth that high IQ means low EQ. On the contrary, deep thinkers often have hypersensitive emotional intelligence, which makes isolation feel even more acute. The truth is far more complex. Loneliness is the result of a delicate interplay between personality, environment, attachment history, and biology. By shattering these myths, we can start to see isolation for what it really is, an invitation to look deeper, to find a more authentic way of being. When you stop believing the misconceptions, you stop judging your own experience. You begin to understand the unique landscape of your mind. You are not a myth. You are a biological and psychological reality, navigating a world of profound depth. And that is something to be celebrated. What other myths have you been told? The answer might surprise you and free you. This was part 6. In the next chapter, The Data of Connection, we look at the hard scientific evidence behind social needs and the reflective mind. Stay with us. We move now from the world of ideas to the world of evidence. In this chapter, we look at the data of connection, what science truly says about the reflective mind. Decades of behavioral science studies have shown that social needs are not uniform. What one person finds nourishing, another finds depleting. Research into introversion and extroversion reveals that deep thinkers often have a lower threshold for social stimulation. Their social battery operates differently. They aren't avoiding connection, they are optimizing for quality. Data suggests that for high-functioning minds, one deep interaction is worth more than 1,000 surface-level ones. Studies on cognitive empathy show that intelligent individuals often accurately perceive the emotions of others, but may feel a mismatch in shared social values. Then there is rumination. Science shows that a highly active mind is more likely to revisit social interactions, analyzing every detail for deeper meaning. This analytical depth can lead to a sense of isolation, as others may not perceive the same layers of complexity in a simple greeting or a shared look. Data also points to attachment theory. Our early relationships shape how we view connection, and for some deep thinkers, isolation was a safe harbor early in life. Neurological evidence confirms that social isolation is physically painful for the sensitive mind. It is a real biological signal that the environment is out of sync. But the data also holds a promise. Highly intelligent people who find even one resonant connection show exceptionally high levels of life satisfaction and resilience. The science doesn't say you are broken, it says you are specialized. You are built for a specific kind of depth that requires a specific kind of environment. Understanding the data allows you to move from self-blame to self-management. You can design a life that honors your biological and psychological needs. The data is clear. Your depth is a feature, not a bug. It is the very thing that allows you to see the world in high definition. How will you use this data to rewrite your own story? The answer is within your reach. This was part 7. In the next chapter, The Art of Solitude, we look at the practical daily habits for finding peace and resilience in the silence. Stay with us. Knowledge without action is just information. In this chapter, we explore the art of solitude, the practical habits that turn isolation into a source of power. The first habit is relabeling. Loneliness is a state of lack. Solitude is a state of abundance. One is being alone and missing others. The other is being alone and enjoying oneself. Begin with a solitude hour, a time each day dedicated solely to your own internal dialogue. No screens, no noise, just the unfiltered thoughts of your own mind. Nature is the ultimate companion for the deep thinker. It offers a complexity that matches your mind, but without the exhaustion of social expectation. Spend time in the wild. The vastness of the ocean, or the height of a mountain, provides a scale that puts our social worries into perspective. It reminds us that we are part of a much larger, silent story. Cultivate the habit of deep reading, not just for information but for resonance. Read the thinkers of the past who felt exactly as you do. In their words, you will find a home. Find a medium for expression. Whether it's writing, painting, music, or gardening, transform your internal world into something external. Give your thoughts a physical form. This externalization allows you to see your own depth as a contribution to the world. It bridges the gap between your inner reality and the social reality outside. Practice selective socializing. You don't have to say yes to every invitation. Guard your energy. Choose interactions that feed your mind rather than drain it. When you do socialize, look for resonance, that rare feeling of being truly understood. Even one such conversation a month can sustain a deep thinker for weeks. Your habits are the architecture of your resilience. By honoring your need for depth and silence, you turn a perceived weakness into your greatest asset. Solitude isn't a place you go to hide. It is a place you go to find yourself. It is where your most authentic voice is born. When you master the art of solitude, you are no longer lonely. You are simply in excellent company, your own. Which habit will you start tomorrow? The choice is the first step toward a more meaningful life. This was part 8. In the next chapter, Beyond the Silence, we look at finding meaning, purpose, and long-term resilience. Stay with us. We are reaching the summit of our journey. In this chapter, we look beyond the silence to find the ultimate meaning in the solitary life of the mind. For the deep thinker, meaning is not an option. It is a necessity. A life without a deeper purpose feels like navigating a vast ocean without a compass. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the inner citadel, the unshakable fortress within where a mind can find refuge regardless of the chaos outside. This is your foundation. Meaning is found in self-transcendence, the ability to connect your deep internal world to something larger than yourself. A cause, a craft, or a quest for truth. When you dedicate your depth to a higher purpose, your isolation is transformed. It is no longer a prison, it is a laboratory for your contribution to humanity. The silence you inhabit is the same silence that birthed the world's most profound ideas. Your isolation is the soil in which your legacy is growing. True resilience is born when you stop seeing your depth as a burden and start seeing it as a bridge to a more meaningful, more impactful existence. Remember, one clear thought, one deep conversation, or one profound piece of work can change the world. You don't need a crowd to have an impact. Trust your internal compass. It is tuned to a frequency that most cannot hear, but that doesn't make the music any less real. Follow it where it leads. Your loneliness is an indicator of your potential. It is a sign that you are searching for a level of truth and meaning that the world often ignores. Honor that search. When you find your purpose, your solitude becomes sacred. It is the place where you forge the strength to walk your own path with confidence and joy. Beyond the silence lies a life of profound consequence. A life where your depth is not a defect, but the very source of your power and your peace. Look deep within yourself. What is the one truth you are here to share? The answer is the key to your internal citadel. Are you ready to walk beyond the silence? The journey is just beginning. This was part 9. In our final chapter, The Golden Wisdom, we summarize our journey and find the final reflection. Stay with us.
We have come to the end of our journey. In this final chapter, we reflect on the golden wisdom found in the life of the deep thinker. We began with the paradox, the strange isolation that accompanies a brilliant mind. We saw that it isn't a failure, but a search for depth. We explored the architecture of thought, the biological and psychological wiring that makes your internal world so rich and the outside world so loud. We looked at the neuroscience of connection, how your wired mind processes social pain and emotional resonance differently than most. We walked the solitary path of history's greatest giants, finding strength in their legacies of silent courage and profound discovery. We met the quiet observer, Julian, and saw that the social mismatch is often an invitation to find a more authentic way of being. We examined the data of connection and learned the art of solitude, the daily habits that turn isolation into resilience and peace. The final lesson is this: your depth is not a defect. It is your greatest gift. It is the very thing that allows you to see the beauty and complexity of existence. You are never truly alone when you are in dialogue with the truth. You are part of a long, distinguished lineage of thinkers who moved the world from the silence. So, stand tall in your silence. Embrace your need for depth. The world needs your vision, even if it doesn't always know how to ask for it. If you have found value in this journey, we invite you to subscribe to Golden Wisdom. Join our community of deep thinkers and eternal observers. Together, we will continue to explore the most profound questions of the human experience. Your presence here is a vital part of this conversation. Take the wisdom you have found here and let it light your way. You are a deep thinker, you are a quiet observer, and you are precisely where you need to be. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, find your depth, find your peace, find your golden wisdom. This was Why Intelligent People Often Feel Lonely, a 10-part documentary by Golden Wisdom. We look forward to seeing you again. Goodbye.